Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Monday, September 29th, 2005. Today will be the sentencing of Charlie Javice. She's tried to get out of it. She said she couldn't travel. She redacted the reasons. Judge Hellerstein said no. He'd already postponed the Sudan BNP Paribas trial. And so today at 10:30, Charlie Javice will earn her sentence. She's already asked for bail pending appeal. I guess Combs will do that as well. Let's turn to that because there's still no ruling by Judge Subramanian on Combs' motion for acquittal or a new trial, the argument on which was held Thursday. Friday we were waiting, over the weekend we were waiting. His sentencing is Friday, and the government's sentencing memo is due, how much time they want. I think it's going to be substantial that they want. What they get, I don't know. So we'll be reporting on both fronts. These are two big things. Now, there's some other things bouncing around. There's supposed to be some deposition in the Blake Lively case. That's kind of hype, but we've covered it. Greenstein, who was a big official at Sony, now Paramount, has only one day to be deposed, and there was a big fight of whether it should start at 8 a.m. or 8:30, and kind of a tempest in a teapot. But we covered it. There's a case that was filed just late last week and that we wrote about over the weekend involving a former Madison Square Garden employee. And what's interesting about it, of course, there's always employment litigation, but he's saying that they use facial recognition surveillance technology against the fans that the fans don't know about. Also that the guys are packing heat illegally inside MSG, and some transgender issues. So we wrote it up. You can check it out. I'm going to get to the UN in a moment once I cross the street here. But there's on the financial front. Ever since the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation said they're going to stop giving public notice of branch applications because people don't comment enough, we're commenting, baby. TowneBank, Dogwood, we're in. The record is terrible, and the comment is filed. There you can have it. Let's turn to the UN, because it's going to take quite... Oh, let's turn to Utah for a moment. Today, there's a virtual appearance by the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk. Now, it's going to be virtually, so it should be online. But so we spent a little time trying to check out the Utah court, how they disclose where it is. We found that the Utah court has an X account that's protected for media only. Of course, we're media. I don't know if it's only for media from Utah. We've put in to be admitted to the inner circle, but it shouldn't be that way. I want to emphasize the rights of the I'm always beating the drum for the rights of the press to access court proceedings, but it's a subset of the public's right. So I think Utah may have it wrong, and more on that to follow. Let's turn to the United Nations, where there are no press rights, where Inner City Press, which this morning wrote 2 scoops about corruption in the UN system, remains banned from even entering the building, while a bunch of non-entities, retirees, and blood-splattered, state-sponsored propagandists are allowed in. Now, the stories we wrote are as follows. A story that we were the first to report on, UNOPS Vitaly Vancelbaum, totally corrupt. He's been indicted in SDNY. Of course, the UN doesn't talk about him anymore. The journalists there don't even ask about him. But he's been under arrest in Spain, and his extradition request will be voted on this week. So we wrote the story, and we're going to ask the UN about it. Of course, they won't answer, because they're not corrupt, right? The other one is UNODC, where Gadawali is out, and some dubious UK guy wants in. Well, we wrote to the UK mission, no answer. So take a look at it. That's the drug and crimes, and it all comes together, because there was a UNODC staffer, George, that lied to get onto the Diddy jury, as we covered. And we knew he was lying, because he claimed that UNODC never works with the U.S. law enforcement, which is false. He's a liar. Okay, we're going in. Javice, and then the rest. To be continued.